Hey there, everybody. Welcome back to the channel, or welcome to the channel if you're just landing here. I'm Afefe with Touch by Tarot and Beyond. Uh, I'm taping this a little later. Normally, I tape early in the morning, and I just had a really busy morning. So, taping this closer to midday on Wednesday, as we are hearing a lot of news coming out about this situation in Dallas. I'll call it that. Being careful of my wording. YouTube has been really particular about flagging videos based on the usage of certain terms. So, you all have heard of the news about the ICE situation in Dallas. If you know me, you know I am as a former newspaper reporter, I'm one of the last people to get into conspiracy theories. You all have to pull me kicking and screaming even around like the election, the voting machines and all that. But I finally caught on. My guys were like, "All right, little miss, like let's see it for call it for what it is." The stuff around Tyler Robinson, like all these question marks, like something stinks, something's not right. But I will tell you, the minute that the news flashed about this, and that is certainly not to take anything away from those who have been unalived. But of course, we already see this being spun again as uh, you know what is increasingly and going to be increasingly is what I'm getting from the guides. Uh, Attempts to paint the left. All of these things are being done by people on the left, and that is being done so that they can somehow justify, as we head into 2026, finding ways to interrupt elections, free and fair elections. Right? All right. I'm gonna go to the cards and just get right to it, you all. Is this situation in Dallas being fabricated? The situation around what's happened, the ICE facility in Dallas, ancestors, spirits, collective spirits, spirits of light, spirits of truth. Is this being fabricated? Is the public being misled? Is this being fabricated? I have a woman who comes at the bottom of the deck. I was led to the Kipper deck today for those of you who read or are interested. So there's a woman there. I guess we can expect to hear some things from perhaps Christy Nome, etc. Is this is this being fabricated? We have faith to manipulate the faithful. Tag it. I mean, we're seeing it more and more and more, right? The memorial for CK, the whole idea and knowledge that, plain knowledge that the majority of the MAGA faithful are from the Christian right, the far Christian right. So this is to ping and ting the Christian faithful. I have a house and an earth angel. A house and an earth angel. This is, we're going to be hearing a lot from people on the left who are going to speak to this, especially those out of Texas. And I feel like immediately I'm being drawn to Jasmine Crockett. Pay attention to what her response is to this, especially. And this could also point back to that mature woman that we saw. And this could also, I'm getting, this could point to someone who will be a part of the investigation. We understand that whoever this was, who did this, that they are no longer here, and that was by their own hand, we're being told. But somehow there's a woman involved who's going to speak to this issue and perhaps investigate it further. Spirit, help me understand, is this actually being fabricated? Is this a part of their plan? The ancestors, they're like, okay, you want us to speak? Let's talk. All right, let's go. Is this being fabricated? Confusion, illusion. Woo! They don't play. They don't play. Ancestors are speaking collectively. Those who have fought so hard for a democracy in this country, of all races, of all hues, of all nations, right? They're coming forward to say, look, this is being, the wool is, there's a deliberate attempt to pull the wool over our eyes. Look at those eyes there. Confusion and illusion. To sow the seeds of confusion, especially among the faithful, those who can be, led but based on just buying into the fact that, or the idea that this is happening, and all these little engravings on the shell casings. As soon as I saw that, I was like, no, nobody's going to sit and put that on there. Not in that way. And that's what a lot of you brought up around the text messaging around Tyler Robinson. I'm telling you, being perfect, always going to keep it real with you. I didn't catch on to that right away, or at the time. Took a minute. I was a little slow. I was on, it took me I was a couple beats back from many of you on that one. And then I was like, yeah, that doesn't sound right. That doesn't sound like the language that they would use. That faith, confusion, illusion. We've got the Ice Queen, Ice Barbie coming up, and the family. You're under attack. You're under siege. No one is safe. And spinning this situation to reinforce this notion that these poor people, in the ICE agency are just trying to do their jobs. They're just law-abiding people who are trying to keep you safe, and that they are under attack. Wow, this is a health concern. Health as in living, health as in lives being at stake, health as in you are not safe. And this is why we have to continue militarizing in cities, because you are not safe. And our job, including the job of ICE, is to keep you safe. But there's an ending, and there's death magic. I'm going to tarot. You can tell I'm in business mode today. And I know some of you are like, yeah, then do that, Afefe. All right, death and endings. I see this two ways. Spirit is saying, on the one hand, death is being used as a tool to bring about, is this ending to bring about a shift or a change in elections, to bring about something that's so actual money being symbolic, and the cost, that $170 billion that they got for ICE and their efforts to boost their they've got offices coming up everywhere. So this is the funding that's being used, and their justification of that funding. Their justification of that funding, sweetheart, comes up because they want to sweeten the public's notion as they continue to grow the presence of ICE throughout the nation. Again, all things going into 2026, as they continue to grow that, they want to say, here's why we're spending so much money on that. Health also, thank you, Spirit said, back it up, Afefe. This health concern, remember, we've got everything happening right now around the potential government shutdown, especially around the issue of Obamacare and health concerns and health coverage. So they are coming up with a storyline to say, one of the reasons, regardless of what happens with health coverage in the face of pouring all of this money into ICE, is because the nation needs it, is because, we are under siege, meaning the people, specifically the people on the right, the MAGA folk, and these agencies, that we are under siege. I'm going to go to tarot. Pull a couple of cards there just to confirm I'm on the right track, but we see what's coming. That's what's happening, you all. This was yet another, and the idea that it could get this far, that this is being put in place, the ultimate price that people are paying with their lives behind something like this. I understand, and again, I stepped away and started taping. Spirit said, "Get up and get to the camera." So I'm not quite sure. I think I saw that 2 of the 3 people who were unalived were detainees, were actual detainees versus agents. Not saying, again, nobody should be put in this position. to actually have their lives interrupted and taken as a result of some politicization or politicalization. Man, oh man, oh man, y'all. I have, wow. It's the Empress. This deck is a really interesting deck, the way they depict. It's called the Inner Voice Tarot. This is the Empress, the 3, but notice her keyword, life. The idea is to sacrifice certain lives in hopes of getting the larger collective to buy into the fact that this is what could possibly happen. This is how dangerous things are. 9 of air, to foster fear, to foster and stir up the idea that the people on the left are in fact your enemies, that the people on the left are in fact those who are out here committing these types of heinous acts, and that's why you should fear them. That is why we can't have reconciliation. Wow, you all. Listen, I now I want to ask Spirit, how I need a message, Spirit, please. What is a message that I can give in this reading for how to respond in this moment, how to stay safe, how to prepare, how do we what do we do in this moment? It's not living in fear. That ain't happening. Not living in fear. And not buying the BS. This is so fabricated, and people are being manipulated left, right, and center to prep them for what they want to have happen in 2026. How should we respond? We have balance, justice. Okay. Thank you, Spirit. Hang on to the justice system, despite all the many ways that we see it being twisted out of shape and put into a pretzel and made into something else. Justice is going to prevail. There is a sense of fairness. There is a sense of things being righted, things being called out for what they really are. Like, I can't be the only person sitting here thinking. So many of you were probably quicker on the uptake with this than I was. There's a Knight of Cups. There's going to be a swelling emotion that for healing. And you know what I'm getting? That even on the far right, even among the MAGA cultists and those who will buy into these stories, there's a sense with the Knight of Cups, there's a sense of, but this may be what you're telling us it is, but this is not what we want it to be. What can we do to help bring the temperature down, to help facilitate and foster healing? A segment. Before any of y'all hop on those comments and go, you tripping, Fefe. I feel like their Spirit is saying there will be a segment of people who do that. We have the Hangman. And notice it has the word, the keyword sacrifice. Right? But that message is, I pause, I breathe, and I enter a sanctuary of peace. That coincides with that message we were getting around that Knight of Cups. There is going to be, and I almost see this like prayer vigils by all people, all walks of life, all political faiths and beliefs, that this cannot go on. This cannot go on, just a steady stream. And so Spirit is saying, in terms of the question is, how do we respond? How do we handle this at this time? What Spirit is saying is, it is going to require tapping into our faith in something larger. We have the 5 of Pentacles. I relinquish my concerns to Spirit within, which is the message on this card, 5 of Pentacles. There's the word from Spirit here, you all, is number 1, what we're doing on this taping today as a community, don't believe the hype, right? Don't believe the hype. And also there's a slowing down, I think, of with that faith, and that Hangman is rather than react either in fear and anger, at being targeted, knowing that the left is being so vilified and so unjustly vilified, talking about the justice card. And rather than going and really amping up in that direction, there's something here that says, hold on, slow it down a little bit and and turn it to spirit. Go to spirit. That's part of that faith. Going to spirit, going to who and what you believe in. And the Nine of Cups, thank you, what a beautiful energy here. That being an energy of what you desire. The message here, all things are working together for the good of my life. It's an individual message, but of course in the context of this reading, it's a collective message. All things are working together for our good collectively as a society and a democracy, or they will. That out of all of this is going to come such abhorrence, is the word they gave me, just abhorrence, that people from any sector, any political sector, are going to say this is not who we are. And we have the Four of Swords here with that beautiful wise owl, and it says, spirit within is my all-powerful healer. Our collective all-powerful healer, spirit within, right? So our way through this right now is, in a way, don't do what I just did and react. It's like, what? But even as we react, like keeping, on a serious note, even as we react, but use our reaction and use the revelations that are being given to us around just how much is being twisted and misrepresented and being used to manipulate people's emotions, beliefs, sentiments, and actions, that there is a greater force, and collectively we must continue to turn to that greater force. Even in our we know in October we've got another No King's Day coming up. Like anytime there's actually actions being taken and gatherings and people, groups, private groups, etc., that to utilize a part of that collective energy to go to the divine, to invoke the divine, to call upon the divine forces, the forces of light, the forces of good, the forces of love and justice for all people, that to utilize that and amplify that energy. That is something we're going to have to do more and increasingly as we see things like this uncovered. All right, you all? Okay, that's it. That's what I came on to say. Take really good care of yourselves, and by all means, I mean that chin. Like if you got to prop something under it, keep your chins up right now, because truly, there's every unimaginable and imaginable force out there right now that's trying to get us, like, surrender. Chin up and shoulders back, and that comes from the faith in something greater, especially in this moment. All right? Come from your heart, and this reading has been from my heart to yours. I hope you felt it. All right? I'll talk to you real soon. Bye.